Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
So glad to see everyone here. And I call the meeting of the Portsmouth Economic Development Authority to order. And one of the first things that I want to do, and I want to steal his thunder, but I just want all of you to, and thank you for our new Director of Economic Development. Yes, sir. And,
It's about time.
yeah,
awesome.
yeah, it is, and he deserves it. You know, he's paid his dues all around Tidewater, and even been assistant. And so now, you know, one thing about him I learned, he's always been fair and not afraid to get out in the community and do the things that's necessary. Even in his role as assistant, you know, he was willing to go out and talk to individuals, groups, anybody. So I think it's awesome, and we look forward to continuing to work with you. So, and I don't know when you're going to have a party, but...
You will be on the invite list, I can assure you that. But, if I could just say a few words, I'd first of all like to thank City Manager Chapman for the opportunity to continue serving the City of Portsmouth and the confidence that you've provided me in leading the department and our economic development initiatives, and also to thank the EDA and the Portsmouth Port Industrial Commission for your support over the last 4 years. We've achieved, I think, pretty amazing things in that time, and I'm looking forward to building upon that, to doing even more. I think we're in a great place, and I think we're just getting started, so I just want to thank you for the opportunity to continue that effort. So, thanks.
Thank you, and I just, one last thing, don't change on us, because sometimes power goes to your head.
Well, I think, as you probably know, I'm a fairly humble guy, and I don't enjoy the spotlight so much. So my goal is to continue business as usual. But, I appreciate those words of wisdom.
And again, thank everybody for being here. We will go through our agenda as we normally do, with our Secretary and Director calling for the roll call first.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Barber.
Here.
Ms. Drury.
Here.
Mr. Mitchell.
Here.
Mr. Brown.
Here.
Mrs. Saunders Smith.
Here.
Mrs. Smith is absent, and Mr. Smith.
Here.
Chair, we do have a quorum.
Okay.
Your first item of business this morning is your October 26th meeting minutes, which were provided to you in your meeting package last Friday. We are certainly able to discuss those if there are any comments. Thank you, Ms. Saunders Smith. And I believe we had a second from Mr. Barber. The roll, Mr. Barber.
Aye.
Ms. Drury.
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell.
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Mrs. Saunders Smith.
Yes.
And Chairman Smith.
Here.
If it is a yes, the minutes are adopted as presented.
Before we turn it over to Ms. Barish, let me also recognize another new appointee, Ms. Sunshine Swinson. Thank you for being here this morning.
Thank you.
Oh, I did.
Yes, ma'am.
I turned around and boom, you were there. Okay, Ms. Barish.
I don't think we're presenting anything today.
No,
right.
So, yeah.
If you recall at your last...
But I'm
October
here,
meeting.
just in case you have any question or...
Okay, all right, thank you.
So we'll be moving to quarterly reports.
Yeah,
going
quarterly
forward.
reports.
And with that, we'll be back, I guess, in January with a financial report. Moving on to old business, we do have an update on the FY22 Business Investment Grant Program. We are working to close out the last 3 remaining grants in terms of processing payouts. There have been some extensions issued, and they are working to finish up as we speak. We do have one additional project that was approved that actually expires today that we we'll have as a next item for another extension request. We've experienced on several cases, as it relates to the real property investment grant, delays in construction, both from a contracting standpoint and the availability of contractors in general, but also the availability of materials that has caused and continues to cause delay with the real estate investment grant projects. So we have just 3 that are remaining to be paid out, and we're in the process of wrapping those up. The only other remaining applications that are being processed are your business acceleration grant applications, and we have 2 that are being closed out as we speak. We're working through the invoices for those disbursements, and those will total approximately $5,000 each. Again, we do have a extension request for a real property investment grant. That's at 6205 Suite A, Portsmouth Boulevard. The applicant is Yolks on Us 2. This is their second establishment in the city of Portsmouth, so an expansion of their business there on Portsmouth Boulevard. They are requesting a second extension to their grant completion deadline. We have previously provided a administrative extension, which again expires today. They have asked for an additional extension of 90 days. That would be the second and final that we can provide, which would technically put them in February of, not 2022, but 2023 for that extension to run out. Their expectation is they will be done by the end of the calendar year, however, but we felt it appropriate just to go ahead and add that additional time. They have, again, had some delays in construction and material delivery, specifically as it relates to the kitchen build-out. So that's why they're coming back.
And this is the place behind at Hodges Ferry and Portsmouth Boulevard behind Town Bank. That I believe is the first business. It used to be what's the place that moved up to Chewan, but it used to be that place, and they are the first one. I'm pretty sure that's the.
You talking about a little strip mall?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Just across from Rite Aid, you know.
Okay.
Just so y'all be familiar with where it was.
Okay.
I thought it was downtown.
There is one downtown. That's on Great.
Oh,
That's a
is it?
different one. That's
That's-
this.
this is
the Washington Street.
Yeah, this is their
Yeah.
second one.
Yep.
Okay.
So I don't have it on the agenda. I guess, do we need a formal vote, or is it consensus, Jeff?
I think I'll go ahead and do a vote.
Okay.
Move approval of the extension.
I second.
Thank you, Mr. Barber and Ms. Drury. We'll read the roll. Mr. Barber?
Yes.
Ms. Drury?
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mrs. Saunders-Smith?
Yes.
And Mr. Smith?
Yes.
The item is adopted by a vote of 6-0. Moving on to new business, we have just a brief update for you on the FY23 Business Investment Grant Program. Again, this round opened on October 1st. It ran for the duration of the month. We accepted applications with the close window of October 31st, and we did receive a total of 16 applications. You can see here on the screen we have broken that down. We had 6 real property investment grant applications that were received, 8 of the Smart Start business development grants, and then 2 of the acceleration grants that came in the first round. So we are in the process of reviewing those. The majority of these can be approved administratively. We do have 3 real estate grants that will require your consideration this morning, and that will be another item on your agenda today. But we had a very good response. We also fielded a number of phone calls from businesses that were not quite ready with their applications that will be coming back in the next round, which will open on January 1. So we continue to get a lot of interest, and it's been a really diverse mix of businesses that we've been seeing submitting applications. So At your next meeting, we will be providing a listing of those businesses as we process them and have their details of their grant applications to share. Certainly able to answer any questions if you have any at this time. If not, we can move forward with the applications that do require your review.
I have one question, Brian. Are previous recipients able to reapply for new grants in the second round?
They are not able to apply as the same business entity. Or in the case of the real property investment grant, for the same property, unless they have not maxed out the grant. So for instance, as an example, for a recipient of the real property investment grant, perhaps they're phasing their work, and the cap on that program is $25,000. So perhaps they came in and requested $10,000 initially. They could come back and resubmit for the remaining amount they could receive, up to $25,000, if there is a phased approach to the work being completed. Okay, we're going to move on to your FY23 real property investment grant applications. We did receive 3 that are requesting greater than $10,000 each, which is that is the threshold that staff is able to approve administratively. Your first application is for property located at 1910 Frederick Boulevard. The applicant is Mr. Kevin Riddick. He is the property owner. He is making a substantial number of improvements on the interior of the property, in addition to some roofing work. He'll be doing electrical, lighting, bathroom, plumbing, drywall, and HVAC improvements for a total cost of $54,500. He is requesting a grant in the amount of $25,000, which is under the 50% match requirement, and also maxes out the grant. We do have some photos of the property, which is again on Frederick Boulevard, just past the intersection of Turnpike Road as you approach the railroad tracks and Interstate 264. Across the street, you have the Seaboard Commons development, which is where the new Starbucks, Chipotle, Zaxby's, and I believe a car wash are under construction currently. Mr. Riddick has purchased this property as an investment, and he's looking to make the space available for tenants. He's actually made some exterior improvements to date, and it looks tremendously better than it did just a few months ago on the outside, but from the pictures you can tell there's some work to be done inside. And the majority of the work is what he's requesting assistance with this morning.
When you say tenants, what type of?
So he will be marketing the property for office retail tenants. He's essentially creating a vanilla shell for leasing the property. He has held a few things there himself as the owner. I think he had maybe a pumpkin patch over the Halloween season, and done some things just to kind of promote the property and give back to the community as well. So, but he will be leasing the space once it is renovated and ready.
Yeah, he has a sizable lot right behind those buildings, and that he's rented out for activities. It's a pretty good sized lot back there that he's at least about three big events that he's hosted there. Other groups have.
So is he going to, I know most of the money is going to the interior and the roof, but is he putting the money then into the exterior, the parking lot, around that?
He has been making exterior improvements, so he's done some painting and repairs on the exterior of the buildings. I'm not sure about the site and what he'll be doing there. He has been kind of, again, phasing the improvements to the property. I'm sure if there's a need to make site improvements, that would be coming later on. They are existing buildings, and he is able to operate as it is currently.
Right, now I saw the pumpkin patch.
But really, I think as you can tell from some of those photos where you have some ceilings that have collapsed. There's some substantial work inside that needs to occur.
And one good thing about it, he has that little driveway is accessible to the street behind him, so that folks don't always have to come off of Frederick, because that's the railroad track there, and before you get on the interstate, and you do have access from the street behind the building.
I recommend approval.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Barber and a second by Commissioner Brown. Is there any discussion on the item? Okay, hearing none, I'll read the roll. Mr. Barber.
Aye.
Mr. Uri.
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell.
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Mrs. Saunders-Smith.
Yes.
And Mr. Smith.
Yes.
The item is approved by a vote of 6-0. Your next application is for property located at 1629 High Street. The applicant is Presidential Funeral Services Incorporated. They are a tenant. They have leased the property. They will be, as their business name would indicate, they are going to be operating a funeral home. And the scope of work includes interior and exterior improvements to include painting, flooring installation, plumbing, electrical work, some communications and security improvements, and then the installation of a new exterior storefront door. The total project cost is $62,500. They have requested the maximum grant amount of $25,000 to support the work. If we can move to the next slide, please, Ms. Tracy. This is the property at 1629. This is just adjacent to the city's social services office and has been vacant for a number of years. The property owner, Mr. Tom Dana, has made a significant number of exterior improvements over the last year to ready that aspect of the building for leasing it out. And now the tenant is moving forward with the interior aspect. But that door is also, as you can see, is needing installation. Certainly able to answer any questions you may have about this application.
So does he own, because I drove by it, and yes, the where he's done the work looks fabulous, but there's a back part to that. Does he own that also?
Are you referring to the parking lot, or
No,
there's
there's
a
a back
storage
part
area?
of the building that has some businesses in it that looks
Oh,
not good.
that front, that street facing the social services, that's what I don't
Yeah.
think he owns that.
So it's connected to the building,
Yeah,
but he
but-
doesn't own that.
I don't think he does, but.
So this is actually the property has a High Street address, but this is actually, I believe what we're looking at here is the side of the building.
Right, but if you go farther down, there's businesses, there's a hair place.
Shop,
there's
barber shop, there's.
barber
Yeah,
shop,
those would be
yeah.
adjacent, yes, to this
Okay,
property.
so he doesn't own, we don't know if he owns those.
I believe they're all under his ownership. He owns,
The whole
I think
block.
So he
that strip
fixed
of the
up the
block.
big part of the building and not the next. Okay.
Yeah, those those other shops look pretty much in good shape to me. I've seen they stay pretty busy.
Yeah, they look busy.
But I
It's just a
thought
different look.
it was a separate because of the way the design of the building. It looks like it's
Yeah, they're very different.
not connected internally. I don't think so. I know.
Any other questions as it relates to the application?
Move for approval.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Brown and Mr. Barber. Is there any further discussion on the item? Mr. Barber?
Aye.
Mr. Uri?
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mrs. Saunders-Smith?
Yes.
And Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Item is adopted by a vote of 6-0. Your next item is your final real property investment grant application, which is for property located at 430 Jamestown Avenue. The applicant is QA Properties LLC, which is the property owner, and this is in support of the tenant that will be locating at the property, which is Causeway Academy. We do have a representative from both entities, which is Dr. Brown, who is here in meeting this morning, and certainly able to answer any questions that you may have. But essentially the work will allow for the build-out of the space to accommodate a private day school. So that will include electrical, plumbing improvements, flooring improvements, and reconfiguration of the interior space to provide for classroom space, meeting space, etc. I do believe there's a restroom that has to be reconfigured also. The total project cost is $31,668, and the grant request would be 50% of that per the program allowances, so $15,833.88 to be exact. We do have a photo of the property here. It used to house Eggleston Services. It is adjacent to the I.C. Norcom High School site. If you're familiar with the baseball fields, this is just directly across the street from where the ball fields are. And you can see here the interior space that is in need of improvements to accommodate the proposed use. Certainly able to answer any questions you may have, as is Dr. Brown.
How many occupants are you expecting?
Yes, 25.
When you say day school, this is adult? Or
No,
this-
private day school for students with disabilities, grades K through 4, ages 5 to 11. And disabilities to include autism, learning disabilities, specific learning disabilities, other health impairment, and emotionally disturbed.
I was just going to ask, it's great property. Are you going to have outdoor space? I mean, it's a parking lot in the back.
There is a parking lot in the back. So the design is to ensure that students are active, but we have a multi-purpose room that we will design inside to get them active. It'll have a O-beam that sits in the top of the ceiling. It projects on the floor to give them that activity space along with learning.
I move for approval. No other questions?
Motion by Mr. Brown, a second by Commissioner Barber. Is there any discussion on the item? Hearing none, I'll read the roll. Mr. Barber?
Aye.
Ms. Drury?
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mrs. Saunders-Smith?
Yes.
And Mr. Smith?
Yes.
The item is adopted by a vote of 6-0. That concludes your new business. We are in need of a closed meeting.
You can-
I do believe the vice chair has a resolution in hand.
Okay. We're done.
Thank you. I think we're ready to proceed. Vice Chair Mitchell.
I move to go into a closed meeting pursuant to Virginia Code subsection 2.2-3711A.3 for the purpose of discussing the acquisition or disposition of real property where discussion in an open meeting would adversely affect the bargaining position or negotiating strategy of the public body, specifically regarding strategic acquisitions and the disposition of 3336 Victory Boulevard.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none. First of all, do we have a second? Back up there just a minute. Thank you, Mr. Barber. Any discussion on the item? Hearing none. Mr. Barber?
Aye.
Ms. Drury?
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mrs. Saunders-Smith?
Yes.
And Mr. Smith?
Yes.
We are now in a closed meeting.
hereby move that each commissioner certify that, to the best of his or her knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements under the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, and only such public business matters as were identified in the motion by which the closed meetings were convened were heard, discussed, or considered in the closed meeting just concluded.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Mr. Barber.
Aye.
Ms. Drury.
Aye.
Mr. Mitchell.
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Mrs. Saunders Smith.
Yes.
Mr. Smith.
Yes.
Motion is adopted. We are now in open meeting. And your next item is items submitted by commissioners.
And let me first start out and remind everyone, if there's items for the retreat, we gave them direction of contacting Mr. Mitchell for any topics or any things of interest that you think we ought to cover. So, anybody else? Any other items? Any other questions or comments?
Just a question to Brian is that it appears that they're making significant progress out of the casino. Is the scheduled opening still pretty much the same as it was?
Yes, sir. I've been told first quarter of 2023, specifically January. I don't have a date, but I think they're shooting for January as their target. They're making fantastic progress. I think they were putting in carpet and painting last week, so they're moving right along.
I can just add on that the lottery board called a special meeting for tomorrow to consider the Rivers application for its license, which is very good news. So 9:30 tomorrow, the lottery board will hold a special meeting on that.
Thank you for that. That's fantastic.
Yeah, they're working around the clock.
And
24
tremendous
hours.
progress in the last
Yeah.
couple weeks.
Any other items, members?
No, we're still waiting on the Visitors Bureau.
Oh, wow.
Yes, indeed.
I'm not gonna let it
That
go.
appears to be a biggie.
Yeah,
We've
it's
had
a
some,
biggie. I actually do think it is a biggie.
Well, I mean, I'm talking about getting them here.
Yeah, we've had some
know.
challenges scheduling-wise, but I am working with Mr. Toller on his availability, and hopeful that we can make that happen in December. But I will certainly keep you posted on that. But I have been in communications and you've been requesting that, so we'll see about getting that on the calendar before too much longer.
So can I ask, so with Miss Kroon gone, which just about broke my heart, we're replacing her, correct, or going to try to?
We are in the process of posting the position for the Workforce Development Office manager. So that is in the works. I've been speaking a meeting with HR, and that will be advertised here very soon. Obviously, some big shoes to fill there, and an important and critical need that our office has been working to provide. So that's definitely a focus, and Ms. Chapman and I have had some conversations about the need to get that out ASAP, and we're working to do that.
And definitely her background is what really made it a big thing, that she was able to propel us forward. So I'm hoping that can find somebody with a similar background.
I share those sentiments, and I'm hopeful we can find that individual. I believe they're out there.
So how many are we down? Are you looking at
In terms of
staff
overall total, we have 9 approved positions in the FY23 budget. So we're currently a staff of 3 permanent positions now. So we're in the process of staffing up to what will be 9. And we have a number of positions that will be going out. In addition to the workforce side, we've got several business development positions that we're getting ready to post as well.
So you need some help now. We can put together a schedule here of the board members.
We are working to fast track it, and I will say our colleagues in the Human Resources Department have been fantastic in supporting that. So we're working to get everything out as quickly as we can, and hopefully we'll have some good candidates that will respond. That's always a big part of it is we're all chasing sometimes the same individuals, and that's not just economic development of the city. That's I think where we are in terms of some of the employment challenges that businesses are experiencing as well from a staffing standpoint. But we're working to staff all the way up to 9.
I think it'll help that you're not interim anymore, that you're there. But I think also once y'all have it and it goes out on LinkedIn and social media, it's up to all of us to then share it on our own.
Please do.
Get the word out.
We would hope that you would, and we would appreciate that.
Okay.
I don't have any report backs, but I did have an item I wanted to bring to your attention. Saturday, November 26th is Small Business Saturday. This is a nationally recognized event, and one that we like to recognize here locally in the city of Portsmouth for supporting our local small business community. With the holidays quickly approaching, we do always promote shopping local and shopping small, supporting our small business community. It is the backbone of our business community here in Portsmouth, and that is something we will be recognizing formally on the 22nd with a proclamation that I do believe the mayor plans to read and present, recognizing Small Business Saturday. So just wanted to share that with you and ask that each of you and those watching that you support our local businesses here in the holiday season. We have a number here downtown and elsewhere throughout the city selling locally produced goods and goods that are sourced locally and sold locally as well. So we just ask for your support in that. And look forward to seeing you on Tuesday if you're available to attend the city council meeting. I believe the chairman will be present for that proclamation.
So how are you coming on the reception?
We're working on that. I'll have a conversation with you offline.
Okay. All right.
Since we're still meeting here, does that mean that your property hasn't been rehabbed completely?
Our office has been, in terms of the water damage, has been restored. We're waiting on some carpet to be ordered for replacement. That's in the office area, not in the meeting space. The reason we're here today, we had an issue with the recording and doing that off-site. And that's the only reason we're here this morning. But we're working to get that corrected so we can record in the space and have that video footage accessible.
Do we have to go through the training on the FOIA and again?
Yes, you do. Every 2 years at a minimum. So
Yeah.
When does that come up?
it sort of depends on when you all joined and when you were trained. So we'll take a look at when you're up and reach out to you individually.
Okay.
Yeah. But that's coming.
That's a great question. Just to follow up on that, there are a number of things that need to be done annually in addition to the FOIA training. There are some disclosures that need to be made in terms of financial disclosures that will, I think, come up. I believe it's January, February timeframe. The city clerk typically will send that notice out, and we'll make sure we're communicating with the commissioners on when those are due. But that typically comes directly from the city clerk.
Yeah. February 1st is when that's due. So you'll be getting something from her.
Great question. Thank you for bringing that up.
Thank you for reminding me.
Everybody's very excited.
Very important.
I know so much.
Very important.
We do not have any other items on the agenda for discussion this morning. Your next scheduled regular meeting is December 20th on the calendar, so we will be working with you on the agenda and the run-up to that. And certainly if there are any agenda items that you feel need to be included, please communicate that to the chair and vice chair so we can get them on the agenda.
And anything from anybody else? Speak now, forever hold your peace.
Happy Thanksgiving,
Happy
everybody.
holidays.
Enjoy.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. Yeah, thank you. Well, this meeting's adjourned. Thank y'all.
Thank you.